12 years old. And a lot of people ask me, why would you join that? Why would you join a gang, at the age of 12? Having fun, going out with gang members, stuff like that I thought was really fun.
The yakuza is dying, and out of the ashes on the pyre of these old men, a new power is rising. And this one doesn't play by the rules. They're younger, they're smarter, they're hungrier. And in this video, we'll be exploring the lives of this new mafia organization that rose from the underbelly of Japan's prim and proper society. These men, shadows so elusive that the law enforcement named them Tokuyu. The rise of Tokuyu. The war against the yakuza in Japan has been a hard-fought one, spanning over 3 centuries and costing lives, resources, social trust, and many other things that are impossible to conceptualize. Over the last few decades, though, there was a ray of sunshine. Peace was on the horizon. Recruitment for the yakuza was down amongst young people, following the trend of Japan's aging population, and many thought the members would eventually die out. The possibility of another gang arising was always there, but it was not one that many considered. That is until Tokuyu came on the scene. The crime scene in Japan was changing, and the Tokuyu grabbed this opportunity. The yakuza had fought hard against stricter government crackdowns, but certain things the yakuza was built on made them easy targets for the government. This left room for a more elusive type of criminal to thrive. And since nature abhors a vacuum, a new group stepped in to fill that role. The devil is in the details. The Tokuyu story is hidden right within their actual name, taken from the Japanese characters for anonymous and fluid, which are Tokume and Ryudo respectively. A new moniker was formed, a loose connection of criminal groups that thrive on the concepts of anonymity and flexibility. This new gang is riding on the wave of fast-changing digital age to carry out their operations. Unlike the yakuza, they do not need to rely on loyalty or long-standing rituals to hold on to power. Japan's economic struggles, the rise of cybercrime, and the growing accessibility of encrypted communication tools have all played a part in allowing these groups to thrive. They have since made the field their domain, and they now engage in high-reward crimes like online fraud and hacking without face-to-face contact. Built on such principles, though it is an organization in the early stages of conception, it is clear that they now have the tools to evade the cops for a prolonged battle of attrition. If you made it this far, how about you consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video? It really helps us out and allows us to keep bringing you high-quality content about the mafia world. Thanks, we appreciate you. The Tokuyu pecking order. The yakuza has a long history of a strict and well-defined hierarchy. There are initiation rituals, ceremony, and even codes of conduct between clans. But the Tokuyu doesn't operate on these. It is based on a more fluid and informal structure, lacking any sort of central command that every member deters to. No single leader controls the entire network, a network that is indeed becoming even more vast than many can follow. The pecking order in the Tokuyu seems to be less about ranks and more about roles. The planners would typically orchestrate the crimes and are usually highly skilled in digital communication and fraud, using encrypted messaging apps to relay their instructions. There are recruiters as well, who scout for new members to carry out specific jobs, targeting a wide range of individuals from tech-savvy young adults to disillusioned members of society looking for quick cash. These recruits are basically the field agents, who either physically commit the crimes or follow basic instructions from the orchestrators. Most of the time, they do not know who the planners or recruiters are, and their involvement is often temporary. Think of them as freelance criminals waiting for the next big break. It's hard to understand why this type of structure would work, but it seems to be so far. And this separation between roles, as well as the absence of direct contact, makes it difficult for law enforcement to track and identify key figures. Recruitment and how the organization grows. Since the Tokuyu is still a very new organization, its success is largely dependent on its unconventional and highly efficient recruitment methods. Compared to the yakuza, which traditionally focused on grooming new members through personal connections or family ties, Tokuyu recruiters take advantage of digital anonymity to monitor and then pick the best and most willing candidates. They recruit primarily through social media platforms and encrypted messaging apps, which allow them to reach a wider and more diverse audience as well as avoid contact that may implicate them. Tokoyu has a steady supply of bodies from the considerable niche of young individuals who are disillusioned by Japan's stagnant economy and limited job opportunities. Those who join are targeted because they are eager to make a quick buck or find a sense of belonging without the incredibly restrictive and loaded lifelong loyalty that the yakuza require. They do these through social media apps, job listings, or for anonymous invites for what, at a glance, seem to be simple tasks like deliveries or cash handling. As time goes on, these petty tasks then slowly escalate into more serious crimes, leaving the new recruits unaware of what they are getting themselves into until they are lost to themselves. While anonymity can be restrictive, it offers a layer of safety to everyone involved. The recruits never meet their superiors, and in the case that anyone is arrested, they are unable to implicate any other people involved in the crime. This decentralization strategy also means that the Tokoyu can recruit members far out of their reach, even in other countries. Popular members of the organization. Given that these groups are still in the inception stage, they haven't yet produced members that can claim legendary status in the international or local crime scene yet. However, there are some promising prospects on the horizon, and one of them ran the Luffy crime ring. It all started with the Luffy robberies, which are a series of robberies that were carried out within Japan between 2021 and 2022. Eventually, these robberies became linked to suspects who were detained far outside the borders of the Philippines. These suspects were behind bars and were Japanese citizens who had already been arrested in the Philippines in 2019 for running a telecom fraud and extortion scheme. The group had run a profit of over 2 billion yen and had defrauded over 1,000 other Japanese citizens before they were caught. They were orchestrated by an anonymous individual operating under the name of Luffy, a name derived from the popular One Piece anime pirate Monkey D. Luffy. This example is especially indicative of how deep the rot ran and how daring Tokoyu's exploits were already becoming. Coordinating operations from outside the country, Luffy's group conducted a series of high-profile robberies that targeted homes and businesses with the fever of a fanatical army. The robbery started in the summer of 2021, and there were more than 50 cases in about 14 prefectures that have, at the time, been linked to the group. Following the playbook of the Tokoyu, Luffy and his fellow orchestrators recruited their foot soldiers through social media, offering them jobs in exchange for insanely high financial rewards. Using the Telegram app, which is known for its emphasis on privacy, they gave detailed instructions that their recruits would then follow. The accomplices would usually disguise themselves as cops or Japanese financial agents, and then approach victims with stories about how their accounts had been compromised. After this, they would then break into the victims' homes and steal their ATM cards before proceeding to clear their accounts. 4 of the men that were detained have been deported to Japan. Though confirmation has not been made, one of the suspects, Yuki Watanabe, has been identified as Luffy. He was working with another person, Kim, who has also not been identified yet. Operations. Tokoyu operates in a way that is both diverse and highly adaptable, and this enables them to engage in a more encompassing level of criminal activity. Unlike the yakuza, which traditionally deals with extortion, gambling, and loan sharking, Tokoyu branches out into more modern and transient crime choices, including cybercrimes, fraud, robberies, and even violent assaults and murders, as in the case of Takarajima murders, in which 2 of the suspects were linked to a Tokoyu group. They typically use temporary, ad hoc groups to carry out crimes, often disbanding immediately after the operation and minimizing the risk of law enforcement tracing their activities back to a central organization. This fluidity is one of the reasons why Tokoyu has been so successful in evading law enforcement. Their cross-border operations are particularly notorious, of which the Luffy crime ring is a prime example. Though it cannot be classified as a sizable international reach comparable to the likes of the Italian Mafia, or the Chinese triads, it still allows them to exploit loopholes in jurisdictional laws, making it difficult for authorities in one country to track operations originating from another. Even when caught, legal red tape and bureaucracy keep them from facing the strong arm of justice immediately. For instance, federal departments in the Philippines were accused of cooking up some contrived cases to prevent the deportation of Yuki Watanabe and Tomonobu Sato. This is a new era of organized crime in Japan. As Tokoyu's reach continues to expand, new questions continue to arise. Would they survive? Can Japan's authorities catch up to this new breed of criminal syndicate before it gains an even further hold on the country's underworld? Can they persist to succeed in an era where the yakuza would not? We'd like to know what you think. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned for our next deep dive into the criminal underworld.